Last night, the season finally ended for the Philadelphia 76ers. Even though James Harden showed a spark of his former self in one game of this series, ultimately, that wasn't enough, and they fell to Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat. And in the aftermath, Joel Embiid is being very critical of his team, specifically of James Harden and of himself, and thinks he needs to do better. And of course, Doc Rivers is busy trying to defend his job once again. But you can see 99-90, the Miami Heat do beat the Philadelphia 76ers. This is a 76ers team that Jimmy Butler was a part of just 3 years ago. And they decided they wanted to stick with Tobias Harris instead of Jimmy Butler. And I think that turned out to be a massive, massive mistake. And you can see Joel Embiid had a couple things to say. Joel Embiid says James Harden and the 76ers need to be more aggressive and toughen up in order to break through. After acquiring James Harden at the trade deadline, the 76ers hoped this would finally be the year they break through and make it to the conference finals and beyond. Instead, for the fourth time in 5 years, Philadelphia saw its season come to an end in the second round on Thursday night, losing 99-90 to the Miami Heat. Harden was a non-factor in the game, taking just 9 shots, 2 of them in the second half, and scoring 11 points. That is pathetic. James Harden is a shell of himself. That led Joel Embiid to say the 76ers didn't get the version of Harden that won the NBA's most valuable player. Since we got him, everybody's expecting the Houston James Harden, but that's not who he is anymore. He's more of a playmaker. I thought at times he could have been, all of us could have been more aggressive. All of us, whether it's Tyrese or Tobias or guys coming off the bench. He talked about how everybody needed to be more physical and aggressive, including himself. He did take ownership while also not hesitating to call out everybody else on the team. But Doc Rivers, as everyone has expected, is frantically, trying to defend his job. Say, it's not as bad as you think it is. I did a great job here. I'm doing an awesome job. I don't care what you say. And it's just more the same from a very pathetic Doc Rivers. Let's listen here.
I don't worry about my job, Howard. I think I do a terrific job, and if you don't, then you should write it. Because I worked my butt off to get this team here. When I first got here, no one picked us to be anywhere. And again this year, the same thing. So if that's how anyone feels, write it, and I'm going to feel secure about it.
Remember that line. Nobody picked us to be anywhere, including this year. That's what he's saying. We'll circle back to that.
Results-based business. And that's
it is, but you don't do it every year. Every time you're wrong, should you lose your job? No. So it's the same thing, all right? But listen, if you believe that, then go with it. I know what I did this year, and I feel very good about that. But again, if you believe that, Howard, then you just run with it.
There you go. So Doc Rivers, pretty testy in this post-game press conference, as he usually is whenever the issue of his job comes up. But he said that nobody picked us to be anywhere. That's funny because, we do have the preseason favorites to win the NBA championship. And although you do have Brooklyn Nets were the big favorite, Los Angeles Lakers followed them, then the Milwaukee Bucks were after that. Then you see the Warriors, the Jazz, the Suns, and the Sixers. They were the 7th favorite to win the NBA championship. The idea that there was no expectations on them is a little bit silly. And also keep in mind, this is before they got James Harden. I wonder what it was once they traded for James Harden in the middle of the season, got rid of deadweight Ben Simmons, and brought a former MVP, James Harden, onto this team to play alongside Joel Embiid. I guarantee you the odds skyrocketed after that. And everyone was expecting a decent amount. And it's not to say that just because they lost in this round that Doc Rivers should lose his job or whatever. I don't know how many people are actually calling for that. I don't have much faith in Doc Rivers as a head coach personally. But the idea that you would just push all this blame like no one had any expectations, that's silly. You have an MVP in Joel Embiid. Didn't win it this year. Nikola won it again. Jokic won it again. But when you look at the numbers, Joel was right in that conversation. And to bring someone like James Harden and have him do nothing, have him be embarrassingly bad the way he has been and come up so small, you can't pretend like people aren't disappointed in this team like Doc Rivers is trying to do right now. It's sad and it's pathetic, but that is Doc Rivers. Season came to a bitter end for the Philadelphia 76ers. Could have been better if James had played better. Maybe if Joel Embiid hadn't gotten hurt, who knows? But as it stands, Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat are moving on to the conference finals. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.